Hey, what up, YouTube? My name is Mike. I've been trying to do this for a long time. I mean, you can ask anybody that knows me. I've been wanting to make YouTube videos about football. I just love talking football, and I love debating football with anybody that comes across. There's not really many people that I can talk to, and some of the people I do talk to, you know, we're on the same page about a lot of things, and they even debate me, which I love. I love a great debate about the NFL. Like, just give me something, and I bounce it back and forth. I love it. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, if you can't tell. I love the Chiefs, hometown team. It was an exciting, heartbreaking year all at the same time, and hopefully next year will be a great year. Speaking of the Chiefs, some of the things I want to talk about was off-season acquisitions that I feel like the Chiefs should do, and not only the Chiefs but the NFL or other NFL teams as well. One move that I want to see. As a Chiefs fan, I love the receivers that we had in place. I'm hoping that we retain, Dexter McCluster, but I mean, if we don't, I understand. It's a business first. But I would definitely love to see Jermichael come to town. I feel like there are so many reasons why he should come in town. Old coach, he knows the system. He'd be a great fit for a number two receiver, And I don't feel like we would have to pay him as much right away. But, I was reading some of the NFL stories and things like that, and it looks like that he's trying to work out something with Philadelphia, which I really hope for the best for him, and hopefully that works out. But if not, I feel like we should make a move for him. Another guy, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the Chiefs so much, but another guy that I feel like that we're going to potentially make a move for, which, background history and so forth and so on. I feel like, Jermichael Finley is a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if we actually went out and paid money to, once again. Old GM knows what he's capable of, and we wouldn't have to pay high dollar for him. We had a lot of banged up tight ends this year, and then, looking at, mock drafts and things like that, a lot of people still got us taking a tight end, which is very frustrating. I wanted Tyrann Mathieu last year in the draft, but we wound up getting Travis Kelce, but things work out for the way they were. You can't do anything. That's how things are. But on other notes, I'm really looking at, other teams out there and what pieces I feel like should fit and things like that. I feel like MJD is going to get dealt this year, or this offseason at some point. I feel like Jacksonville is going to try to push their way back up into that third round with MJD being that key piece. I know they like him and what he brings to the table, but I just don't feel like he's going to be a Jaguar for much longer. I feel like it's best if that franchise separates from that player and that player separate from that franchise, because they will both be happier. I feel like Jaguars need to bring in a young, fresher leg running back and try to really pick up, what they're doing there, especially if they're about to go get a rookie guy. I know the blueprint that Atlanta laid out for a lot of people for a while there was go draft a young rookie, get you a veteran running back, and put an offensive line in place. And if you're lucky enough, you'll be Pittsburgh or the New York Jets and get a rookie and have a solid defense. But Atlanta wasn't that lucky. So it took a little bit longer, but you've seen that Matt Ryan obviously developed himself with the productivity of Julio Jones and Roddy White and Tony G being there as well. So I feel like with Jacksonville, that's something they should do. Go ahead, trade away MJD, get rid of him. Unfortunately, I know that's where he probably wants to spend the rest of his career, but it's okay. Just go ahead, deal him, move him somewhere else, get yourself some more picks, and really build that team, because I look at that roster and it's far from gone, but at the same time I know they can make a lot of free agent acquisitions to do a lot of things. I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly, but for some reason I heard somewhere Brian Orakpo is supposed to hit the market this year. So Brian Orakpo in Jacksonville will be a great addition. Jared Allen, from my understanding, I think is supposed to be a free agent. Why not go pick him up? Now you got a veteran pass rusher and you got a pass rusher in his prime. And then you just start, putting in key pieces on that defense. You go and you draft your young Teddy Bridgewater. Hopefully in the later rounds find you a nice solid running back to put behind him. And if you're lucky enough in the free agency, go pick up a young running back, or not young, but a decent enough running back to start for your team. Justin Blackman gets his stuff together. Cecil Shorts, what he brings to the table. So those guys right there, that's why I feel like Jacksonville is not too far from at least 8-8 season, So, and then the division is just, to me, that division is not, it's not scary, honestly. I know as a Chiefs fan I should be afraid of the Indianapolis Colts and all those things, but honestly, looking at the division, it can easily do a 180 in a heartbeat, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. Another division that I'm looking at, or a couple of other teams that I'm really looking at right now, is all the teams in the NFC East. You know, with Philadelphia, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, and the Washington Redskins. From my understanding, Kirk Cousins wants to get dealt, but at the same time, Washington doesn't want to deal him. That's kind of messed up. I felt like wherever Mike Shanahan was going to go, I was really hoping Mike Shanahan goes somewhere like Minnesota or something like that. And then obviously bringing Kirk Cousins. I mean, Adrian Peterson in a Mike Shanahan running system is just, it would be unfair to the NFL. Let's be real. Mike Shanahan produces running backs in his system. But I was hoping that he'd go somewhere and then bring in Kirk Cousins and allow Kirk Cousins to show what he can do. Because initially my thoughts when RG3 was drafted and then Kirk Cousins was drafted not too long after him was Kirk Cousins was actually Mike Shanahan's guy. That's the quarterback Mike Shanahan wants to go forward with. And it really came alive for me the rookie year that RG3 missed the game against the Cleveland Browns. And Kirk Cousins came in and played like he'd been playing all season long. Like the game plan was already in place for him. So I'm pretty sure Mike Shanahan wanted Kirk Cousins as his quarterback. You know, knock against RG3. RG3 is really a really great quarterback, and he does really great things. I'm just not an RG3 fan all the way. I'm not sold on him yet. And, you know, I'm sorry, but we'll see what happens. You know, once they start putting more weapons around him and more of a consistent receiving core, I feel like that's when we're going to actually see RG3 flourish a little bit more. And then on top of that, I mean, when you're playing with a defense like his, you really can't go far. Another team in the Nfc East that I'm looking at is the Dallas Cowboys. A team, they remind me a lot of Oakland in the mid-2000s. If you're a football fan, you kind of know what I'm talking about. They have so much talent on that team from left to right, front to back. They have so much talent on that team. Jason Garrett just doesn't know how to coach it. Like, let's be real. Jason Garrett just doesn't have the coaching to actually put that team in place to actually win games. I mean, that is a really talented roster and probably one of the more talented rosters in the NFL right now. And it's like, how can you not win 9 games or, you know, win 10 games? Like, what is their serious struggle there? And everybody wants to blame Tony Romo. And I personally can't blame Tony Romo. I just really can't. I understand he thought he could make some passes here and there in some games, but he didn't, and he threw interceptions. But whatever, you know. At the end of the day, that coaching staff has not turned. It hasn't looked good since Wade Phillips was there, and I don't know why Wade Phillips left. Wade Phillips really put a lot of those pieces in place. So Dallas, you gotta hope for the best, and you don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath for a 9-win season or a 10-win season. I mean, you go out there and you play the games. Philadelphia, that's another team in that division. Not talented as, you know, say at Dallas, but they're putting so many pieces in place, and they're getting productivity out of all their guys. And that's a true sign of true coaching right there. I mean, Riley Cooper a year or two ago, you barely got, maybe 20, 30 catches out of him. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. But he wasn't as productive as he was this year. Now he's a threat. Now he's positioning Jermichael Finley for his position. Desean Jackson, you know, what you're going to get from him. And then, you know, obviously the star of the team, or not so much as the star of the team, but the, you know, guy that came out of nowhere this year was Nick Foles. That's, you know, this is going to sound like I'm bragging in a way, but I'm not. But that's the true sign of Andy Reid and what he's seen in Nick Foles. I mean, you bring in Nick Foles, and he just starts eating stuff alive. But at the same time, Andy Reid did lock up Michael Vick for a long time, so can't say Andy Reid made good decisions all the time. But looking at Nick Foles and what he did, he had a really great end of the year. It would be nice to see him do it for a full, consistent season, and then once you put that in place, then you really know what you have. And all of this is tied together by one guy, and that's LeSean McCoy. You know, I think LeSean McCoy, for having the season he did, I drafted him in a late round, and I'll be the first to say LeSean McCoy scares me the way he carries the ball. So fantasy-wise, I'm like, dude, he's just gonna be a fumbling machine. So I was like, I don't know. I just randomly took him, and yeah, the rest is history. And then you got the Giants, and you don't know what you're gonna get from the Giants until Tom Coughlin is on the hot seat. Once Tom Coughlin is on the hot seat, then you know what kind of team you're gonna have with the Giants. But I really think looking at that looking at that division as of right now, it's up in the air. Anybody can have it. Anybody can take it whenever they feel like it. And it's just about getting out there and winning your divisional games and winning some of your road games and giving yourself a chance to win at the end of the year, or at least giving yourself the chance to get into the playoffs at the end of the year. And yeah, that's really that breakdown of that division and just ideas and thoughts that I have right now going on in my head. I'm going to try to do more videos like this. Hopefully you like what I said. If you don't, if you disagree, please comment. Share the video, do whatever. Just let me know. I would like the feedback. I would appreciate the feedback. I want to debate with somebody. Give me something to argue. And something that I want to, leave you guys with and just think about. Free agent running back this year. That's supposed to be Darren McFadden, from my understanding. I think he's supposed to hit the market. What do you think about Darren McFadden in Cleveland? I feel like that would be a really great sleeper free agent move. And I'm all about sleepers and just quiet moves, but I feel like Darren McFadden to Cleveland would be a great move for everybody. He gets a fresh start, and I honestly believe he becomes the running back that he should be. And that Cleveland offensive line doesn't get enough credit for being a run-blocking, mauling offensive line like they really are. I mean, that offensive line is pretty good. But, tell me what you think. Darren McFadden in Cleveland, if that's a good idea or not. All right, I'll hit y'all up later. See y'all next week. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment, and do whatever you have to do. Deuces.